morning to you, President. And I'm sorry we just popped in your office, so you didn't
No
get
problem.
to do your rituals.
Sure.
I mean, maybe my first question now to you will be, you did. I mean, you're a spiritual person.
Indeed.
How did that come about?
Well, I must say that at the end of the day, one has to realize that there is a maker in heaven. I have my own faith, and my faith is that God created men for his edification, for his glory, and for his honor. And we are a people of God, and we have a God as a people. And that God expects certain traits from us in honor, in our behavior, in our integrity, in issues of probity, honest, in issues of service to each other, sacrifice, and more importantly, having a track record of accountability. So that's what drives me, and that's what has enriched my faith, believing that Jesus Christ died for all of us so that we are saved from our sinfulness. I'm not ashamed of my faith. I'm very proud because I know that that is the truth and nothing but the whole truth.
How is that your faith? How does that shape your politics? Especially looking at that politics is where people insult each other, people fight. There's a lot of violence in politics. How does your faith, help you to shape your politics?
Well, that's so fundamental, and thanks for asking that, Zenzele, because for me, politics is not a vocation where we must be doing dirty things, uncouth things, cruel things, violent things. I know that people say that politics is very dirty. I don't believe that politics is dirty, but I believe that certain politicians make politics dirty. It's almost like clothes. When you see dead clothes, it doesn't mean that all clothes are dirty, all suits are dirty. You would say some suits are dirty. It's because of the people who are putting those suits, who are reckless and who are not prudent in how they keep those clothes. So equally in politics, I believe that we must cascade our thoughts, our conduct, deportment, behavior of honest, of peace-loving nature and character, humility, forgiveness, rapprochement, loving each other. Those are traits in the Christian faith that I believe are very important in shaping how I think, believing in excellence as opposed to violence, believing in dialogue as opposed to confrontation, believing in amity as opposed to, going apart and quarreling and arguing. Yes, it's good to argue, but argue for purposes of coming to a common position. So that's what has motivated me to be very forthright in my politics, so that it's not just a faith that is cherished, but it's a faith that is lived.
Yeah, the what has been talk of town basically has been violence in the MDC recently, Buhera and wherever. And some people have said, Chamisa is a violent guy. Are you a violent person?
Well, I know that people call you all sorts of things, and it's typical of political opponents and competition. You have to label and condemn. I'm as peaceful as a dove. I actually dislike hawks who believe in war, who believe in violence, who believe in macho tactics. I'm very soft as wool. I'm very cool as ice. I'm very tolerant as anything that you would compare to. But I know that political opponents always want to say things. It's something that is actually giving me, headaches and heartaches to see the part of excellence in terms of its character and its content, its nature. It has never been a violent party, but we've been at the receiving end of violence. Myself, if you remember, I was actually attacked at the airport and left for dead. I only got to be saved through the intensive care unit at the Avenues Clinic after I was attacked, you remember, in 2007. I've been attacked several times, so I've been at the receiving end of violence, and I know what violence does to a nation, what violence does to a society. It's something that I will never support or associate with. those unfortunate circumstances within MDC are actually being sponsored from outside. They're actually being sponsored by certain forces, and our security reports that we now have in intelligence briefings indicate that yes, there are people from ZANU-PF, from other parties, and being sponsored by certain forces that are actually actively putting on our own regularization provocateurs to advance and progress an agenda of violence, which is alien to our character and culture.
You started politics at a young age. First year at poly, you are already in the SRC, you are fired or expelled from school, and 25, you're already an MP. Tell me about the young Chamisa. Where did you grow up? Or did you grow up in a political, active family? What made you,
Oh, very interesting. And thank you for that question, Zenzele. My family is actually not political in any manner or way. In fact, the entire family is apolitical. I'm the first person to be a politician in my family. But what I can tell you is that our family is a family of kings. It's a family of chiefs. Our grandfathers were actually in leadership, very instrumental in their leadership. So there's an area actually called the Chamisa area where we are in charge. So leadership is something that is part of the family. It runs in the family. It's not something that we have looked for. But politics in the context of national politics is something that I have initiated. And I did not invite myself into politics, but circumstances drove me into it. But partly I think it's also God's calling to say, this is what you're cut out for. For me, politics is as natural as oxygen.
Zimbabwean politics is highly tribal. Karanga versus the Zulu, Ndebele, Shona, and all those kind of. And there are some people who have said, Chamisa is Karanga, Mnangagwa is Karanga. No, he's just, Mnangagwa's puppet. Later on, they're going to form a GNU. What's your response to that?
Well, I think it's an insult to think that I'm capable of being a poodle or a puppet. Yeah. It's not possible for people who do not agree on certain things to actually be compatible. Whereas we're like oil and water, it's white and black, day and night, between myself and Mr. Mnangagwa. He believes what I don't believe in. He loves what I don't love. He thinks what I don't think. So there's no way we can ever be related or associated in any manner. Yes, our interaction has just only been in Parliament, where we do the parliamentary work and do what is to be done in terms of our national duties. Him from the side of government, myself from the alternative government or government in waiting perspective. That has been the interaction. But I must also disabuse people of this thing to say, I'm Karanga, I'm Zimbabwe. This is part of what we want to destroy in this nation. This tribal thing is a construct of mostly people who failed in life. They want to resort to tribe. There's only one tribe, and that is the tribe of the human species, the tribe of humanity. We are human beings. We are created by God, not in tribes, but we are created by God as human beings, and we must respect each other in that context, and of course be conscious of different set of values, beliefs, and traditions. So a geographical location cannot limit me in terms of who I am and who you are. It's just a geographical location. We'll go back, in history. It will tell you that geography can never be a sufficient factor to characterize men and women.
Are you worried that elections are going to be rigged?
I'm not worried. I'm concerned. Worry is when you don't have a solution. Concern is when you have an answer. Yes, the concern is that the bird does not easily abandon its song. So our colleagues in ZANU-PF know one thing, that is electoral skullduggery and electoral theft. They've never sought a mandate from the people. They want to manipulate and massage the will of the people. They are likely to continue to do that or to want to repeat it. But I can tell you that the good news for the people of Zimbabwe is that this time we have an answer, which answer is in our reforms that we are pressing for, particularly the issue of the ballot paper particularly the issue of the registration and the BVR, to say, are there no young people who are registered who are underage from the information we have, particularly in the Midlands and other provinces. So we are conscious of those things, and we are actually making sure that we flush them out, and we're going to expose the culprits for who they are.
We have not yet seen your party manifesto. I mean, are you going to be launching anytime soon?
Very much. I mean, we can't launch a manifesto before we have had the proclamation and also the nomination dates, the sitting of the nomination court. Once that has been done, we'll then be able to move to the stage. The manifesto is already there. Very powerful document we have, and it's an exciting document. We hope to then launch it once the dates have been announced and pronounced.
We cannot basically end this interview without talking about the issue that everyone is talking about. Your rise to power, the coupe issue. As the MDC, are you guys finding each other, or we are going to see a split?
Well, don't call it a split. If an individual chooses not to be part of the party, it's not a split. A split is when structures go apart. But when an individual chooses to say they are no longer happy with the party, it's just withdrawing their membership. I don't know why you are very generous with the terms and framing of issues. You call it a split. If Coupe feels that she's no longer part of the party, it doesn't make it a split. She has just gone away. This is not the first time members have joined or unjoined, been elevated or are demoted on account of their own interests. Because you know that political parties are an aggregation of interests and an articulation of interests. So to the extent that she feels that her interests are not being advanced by the party, she has a right to exit. But we are trying our best. In fact, I've been given a mandate by the National Council to make sure that Coupe is dealt with in the context of the Constitution. She has not been coming to meetings. She has communicated in a manner to undermine the collective and the interests of the party. All those issues have been articulated to her by the National Council. But we hope that senses will come to all the members of the party and make sure that we see the bigger picture as opposed to pursuing our narrow interests. The bigger picture is for us to have democracy in this country, return our country to legitimacy, return our country to accountable leadership and the people's will. Those are the issues, instead of pursuing our sectoral numerator interests. So we are trying our best, but don't call it a split if then she chooses to walk away. It's a democratic right to walk away, as it was also a democratic right to walk in when she walked in and joined the party.
Lastly, you are a very young presidential candidate, and we have quite a huge number of young people who are going to be voting. What is your message to the young people of Zimbabwe?
2018 is the young people's moment. It is the young people's revolution, not just a Zimbabwean revolution, but an African revolution. Not just an African revolution, but a generational revolution, which is a global revolution. You know that young people have a duty to do their best during their time. Age should not be a limiting factor of young people being able to advance their collective interests as a generation, but their collective interests in the context of the nation. So yes, this is going to be a very important election. It's an election of a lifetime. This is a choice between black and white, a choice between, like I said, day and night, the bad and the good, the past and the future. This is a very clear choice between, what is wicked and what is pure and what is righteous. And we represent what is pure, what is righteous. The other guys are clearly ambassadors of the past, ambassadors of darkness, ambassadors of hatred, ambassadors of violence, and we represent the opposite.
Thank you very much. I know you are a busy person, and we very lucky to just get these few minutes to talk to you. There could have been so many questions that we were going to talk to you, but maybe what I can say is that maybe let me take this opportunity to say, if we set up an online chat with young people where they will ask you most of the questions, because they've given me a lot of questions which I'm not able to ask. But if we get time and ask you to come on Twitter and answer the questions, will you be able to do that? With pleasure,
my brother. I'm ready to roll anytime. You can call me, whether it's in Mulawayo, in Harare, anytime be free. In fact, not just the young people. I also hope that you elevate it and make sure that even the elderly, because they don't want to be left behind. This is a national project. It's not just a young generational project. No. Everyone must be involved. We are ready.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.